Vietnam has the potential to become one of the United States' leading economic partners in the region. Pivotal in that development is the completion of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a high-standard trade pact that Vietnam and the United States are negotiating with 10 of their Pacific partners. The partnership's high standards, said U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry on a recent trip to Vietnam, would maintain the momentum that has been created for market reforms, for modernization, for regional integration that the government of Vietnam has actually made a priority. It will also complement Vietnam's efforts to transform state-owned enterprises and important sectors of the economy like energy, banking, which will attract greater investment.
Xin chào, Vietnam. I'm very much looking forward to going back to Vietnam for the first time as Secretary of State. And obviously, I am a little older and grayer since I first landed in Vietnam as a newly minted young naval officer, but I can still close my eyes and I can remember the country that I saw then during the war. The sight of water buffaloes, the incredible narrow rivers, the mangrove, fishermen, and the wooden boats. But what resonates most with me is how much Vietnam has changed over these last 5 decades. When I touched down at the Hanoi airport in 1991 on my first trip back as a civilian and a senator, the streets were filled with bicycles, almost no cars or motorcycles. In the years since the embargo was lifted and we achieved normalization in trade, Vietnam has become an energized, modern nation. Vietnam has been and continues to be a country on the move. And our evolving relationship today is about the future and what we can do together to seize the common possibilities that lie ahead. Nowhere is our cooperation more important than on the environment. Today, in the face of rapid economic growth, wildlife trafficking, and climate change, the Mekong region faces enormous challenges. We must protect and preserve this fragile ecosystem, not simply for our own sake, but for the world that our children and grandchildren will inherit. I know we can meet this challenge head on, and as we do so, I really look forward to immersing myself in the sights and sounds of Vietnam, from the bustling traffic in Seom to the elegant simplicity of Notre Dame Basilica. Our team will be keeping you updated and taking feedback on Facebook, so be sure to connect with us there. Hen Gap Kak Ban. See you soon.
Secretary Kerry announced that the U.S. will provide an initial $4.2 million for the U.S. Agency for International Development's Governance for Inclusive Growth, an assistance package designed to facilitate broad-based sustainable growth. This assistance will, among other things, help Vietnam implement the TPP agreement once it is concluded. This is not aid, said Secretary Kerry. This is an investment, and it's an investment in broad-based and sustainable growth.
20 years ago, there were fewer than 60,000 American visitors to Vietnam each year. Today, more than 500,000 and growing. 20 years ago, annual bilateral trade in goods between our countries was $451 million. Today, it's more than $45 billion. 20 years ago, there were fewer than 800 Vietnamese students studying in the United States. Today, more than 21,000 students from Vietnam are studying at U.S. colleges and universities. For 2 decades after the war, we moved from conflict to normalization. For 2 decades after normalization, we have moved in the direction of partnership and cooperation. And as we prepare for the decades to come, our focus is entirely on the future, on deepening our comprehensive partnership, broadening the bilateral agenda that we have developed, including education, climate change, science, health, internet, human rights, and military-to-military contacts.
To create economic opportunity, a number of things are essential, said Secretary Kerry. You need a free market. You need a free marketplace of ideas. People need to be able to express their thoughts. You need to be able to dare to fail. You need to be able to be creative.
Now, on the economic front, Vietnam is the fastest growing market for U.S. exports in the entire world. Regardless of what happens on TPP, Vietnam's commitment to reform will only deepen its integration into global markets, and it will enable Vietnam to promote even greater entrepreneurship and innovation. And that's what I know all of you want. That's what you need. And today, when I met with your Prime Minister, the Prime Minister, as we talked about the possibilities of this new university, the Fulbright University, he said, we want to develop that, and one of the reasons we want to do it is because we want it, in addition to this university, to be adding to the startups in our country, to become an incubator of innovation and of new industry. We are determined to expand our partnership on energy, trade, and investment. And just this past May, Boeing and Vietjet signed an $11 billion deal to sell 100 new Boeing airplanes to Vietnam. That's the largest single commercial airplane purchase in Vietnamese aviation history. General Electric in Vietnam have signed an agreement to develop 1 gigawatt of electricity by 2025, enough to supply power to 1.8 million homes. So my final visit to Vietnam and Southeast Asia as Secretary of State, but I guarantee you, as a private citizen, I will be back, and then for as long as I am able, I intend to remain committed to the growth of a warm and mutually beneficial relationship between our peoples. I thank you very much for your hospitality, for the contributions many of you have made to the accomplishments that I have discussed today. Hen gặp lại. Thank you.
Mùa xuân này về trên quê ta, khắp đất trời biển rộng bao la, cây xanh tươi ra lá chỗ hoa, chào mùa xuân về với mọi nhà. Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh quê ta đã viết nên tin anh hùng ca ngàn năm sao trôi lưu danh đến muôn đời. Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh năm nay mùa xuân về rợm bóng cờ bay, nướng thêm trong dòng sông bên nghe, chợ thêm đông chợ vui bến thành. Mùa xuân trên thành phố Hồ Chí Minh quang vinh, ôi đẹp biết bao, biết mấy tự hào. Sài Gòn ơi ca nước vẫy chào, cờ sao đang tung bay cao, qua hết rồi những năm thương đau. Xa 30 năm nay đã gặp nhau, vui sao nước mắt lại trào.